This is BJJHOOD, tapping into Jiu-Jitsu lives on and off the mats.
Hello. We are back with the BJJHOOD Podcast. I'm Babby, your host.
And Jay, your co-host.
We're here to share.
And I'm Julia, your guest.
I love it. We're here to share inspirational stories about women in Jiu-Jitsu and how the martial art changed their lives. Make sure you're following us on YouTube. We have subtitles there in Portuguese for the interviews that are in English and subtitles in English for the interviews that are in Portuguese. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, on your favorite podcast platform. That's how you're going to know who are our next guests and when the episodes come out. Every episode come out on Thursdays, so make sure you're following us so you don't miss it. And your support is really, really important. So make sure you're always sharing the episodes with your friends, leaving comments, leaving reviews for us. That's great. It helps us a lot. You guys heard already. Today we have Julia Dorny. She is also known as the German Tank. She's a 6-time world champion, has a lot of championships under her belt, not just one belt, but she has many different black belts. We're going to talk to her about it today. She is a MMA world and European champion at the 145 pounds category. Julia has been training jiu-jitsu for a long time, mainly no-gi. She's a journalist, and she also has her own podcast, Women Hit Harder. Julia, welcome to the BJJHOOD Podcast, representing. I like it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to talk about women in martial arts, making our way up there and obviously supporting each other in many ways. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I wanted you to first walk us through your journey. Like, you started, I guess, in judo as a kid, then had your MMA debut in 2015. You also do sumo and kickboxing. So tell me, how did it all started? Like, how did you get into the martial arts?
Well, I think at the age of 7, I don't know. My mom was like, well, we have to find something for that child that takes her energy off, kind of thing. And also that she, learns about like life and like a lot of stuff. And this is how my judo journey started. And when I was a child, I saw like all those black belt senseis, wearing the national, like the German eagle on their judo gis. And I was like so thrilled. I'm like, one day when I'm grown up, I want to become the same like person, like a sensei, a black belt, a role model. So I don't know, it was pretty clear for me that I just have to, go for it. So I've been in judo for 27. I was in the national team. I fought my way up. And then it was actually like more of a coincidence, I'm going to say, because in judo, they had changed the rules. Like all the leg grabs out of a sudden, everything that you would attack below the obi, which is the belt, out of a sudden was like a shido, like a penalty, or like even hanzokomaki. And I was like, man, like I trained for this like all my life. It's like having a Ferrari in the garage and you cannot drive it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, man, I just have to find a way to still do all that, and maybe even more than that, because I was always in my little judo bubble. Well, not little, but my judo bubble. Yeah. And so in 2014, my friend became a world champion in her weight class. I think it was the straw weight class. And she was also a judo black belt. And, I was like so thrilled. And then there was the time when Ronda Rousey had her journey started, and UFC and all of that began. And I'm like, okay, well, take me to practice. I just want to see how that feels, how it is. So yeah, in 2015, I started my very first MMA stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is hard. This is really hard. Like, obviously I had like a good base with all the takedowns and the groundwork and the stand up. But boxing and kickboxing was obviously completely different, because also your body posture is different, right? Judo is like wide shoulders, you go there, and then you just grab the gi, and and then obviously you're close to your opponent. And kickboxing, MMA, you have to keep a healthy distance in the beginning, right, before it comes to the clinching. And and then eventually I also fought in sumo, because one of my very first judo coaches was like, hey, I have a surprise for you. I'm like, okay, coach, what is it? Yeah, I signed you up for the sumo nationals because I know your little weapon, and I just want to see how it goes. and it's in our like own, you know, how do you say, venue? Because our club had like our own venue thing, and I'm like, okay, fine, but what are the rules? And then we did like 1 or 2 sumo practices before that, and he was just super confident that I would make it. And I went there and eventually became the national champion, and then I don't know, the bronze medalist in the open division, like against the heavy girls. And then they sent me to the Europeans and the Worlds, and eventually I actually even took a medal.
Wow.
awesome.
And it was just so crazy. But also sumo is interesting because it's actually a very good training for MMA as well, because you're very close to your opponent in the little dojo. It's like you have like a meter of a distance, so you have to be good with like your eye fighting, like your expression and appearance. But you also have to be really fast and strong and make sure that nothing other than your feet touch the ground, not even the tip of your hair.
Oh wow.
Huh.
And
I've never talked to
was
anybody
it.
that did sumo before. Like, how does that go? Like, what are you trying to do? Just get the person to fall or something like that? Like, what are the goals?
There's actually a couple of ways to win the fight. So first of all, if you have complete control over your opponent, you can actually pick the person up, put it outside, even if you go outside first, because it shows you have the control. Or you can do throws or block them or whatever. You just have to make sure, let's say you throw like a suplex or an agi or whatever, because that happens a lot, that your arm is not the first one that touches the ground outside. It has to be kind of on top, because whoever puts a body part outside first loses. Even if you've done the best attack in the world, or let's say you want to throw like an ogoshi, haragoshi kind of thing, but if your hand or your knee goes on the ground before that, you lose. So that's why everybody has like the hair tied up, and
Yeah.
That makes sense now.
And obviously in the amateur sumo league, there's weight classes. So minus 65, 80, and I think plus 80. And for the men, there's 85, 100, 115, and plus 115. And obviously what most people know is the professional sumo leagues, when you have the yokosunas and they're all heavy and open weight.
That's what I
And,
think of when you say
Yeah, me
that.
too.
yeah, but have you wondered why you've never seen a woman being a professional sumo fighter?
Why?
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
it's forbidden.
Ah.
Women are not allowed to be professional sumo fighters.
Is there a
Wow.
reason for that? Like,
Yeah, they say like women are not sacred in the dojo, whatever, and probably people don't enjoy watching big women fighting. So if a woman wants to have a serious sumo career, it's only possible as an amateur.
oh wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Let's have the Americans go crazy about that. They'll take it and run.
Hey, let me tell you, I fought at the US Open in sumo in Long Beach, California. Man, the venue was packed. People would go completely nuts. It was loud. People would cheer, and it was just crazy. Such a hype, man. Really, it was so cool. And so I see how like Americans are really into martial arts. If it's MMA or judo or BJJ or sumo or whatever, they're just like, or even like karate combat. They're like, let's go.
Yeah.
It's funny
We
when you
are.
talked about the women perspective, because that's something that I've never thought about. But when you said that, it's true. We never seen any women, and I don't think people don't even like question that a lot of the times. Like it's not something that it's a lot talked about, even for people that are in martial arts. Like why and why can't change? Like we are in 2024. Like that shouldn't be a thing anymore, especially if there are women that are training and there are black belts and they're doing the fights as amateurs.
Right.
Like, why not make it professional for them too, right?
Right.
It's like,
right.
I've never even seen like a sumo like dojo here in the States. I'm gonna Google it now, see what's the closest one.
Oh yeah, I would.
going right now and Googling here, like, so I can see, like, what it is, because the only image that I have in my mind is exactly that, like the two big men, big buns, not a lot of clothes, and they're just like it's pretty
Okay, and
much
to
the
train
same
sumo, what they usually do is they set up the fake ring, right? Like the real competition is on a complete different like kind of platform. It's like kind of a soil, a kind of a soil kind of thing. Lehm. I don't know the English word. I'm sorry. The sticky soil that we have, it's like a brownish tone, and you put the rice and everything. But for training purposes, they do the plastic mats with the rubber doyo and stuff, which is kind of normal. But honestly, I've not even. It's a good idea to do some research if there's some sumo around here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know.
She's
Where are you
doing
based
already.
at?
Like
I know.
I'm in Coconut Creek, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Search it up, Shay, so
I
we can
am.
see if
I'm
there's any
looking.
sumo
You can
either
you
here
can
in
continue.
California
I
or
know.
in Florida, because I want to see that too. That sounds fun. But you had experience in all those like different martial arts, right? Like, what are the biggest differences that you felt, especially like from judo, that it's really how do I say that? Like it's really organized and there's a lot of respect and tradition into that. And when we take it to jiu-jitsu, for example, there is a little bit, but I don't think it's quite the same. How do you see that in difference in all the martial arts that you trained?
Well, what I figured for myself in the last couple of years is that actually at, a lot of people from judo did the transition to BJJ for those reasons that I mentioned earlier, for the leg wraps and everything, because they wanted to find a way, how to still be able to fight and roll and do their techniques that they learned. For the younger generation, it's not so much of a problem, you know what I mean? Like people that were born, let's say, in 2005 or something. That's okay for them. But I was born in 1990, so I was learning the traditional way. And even back then, they had some changes. So I see a lot of like people in my generation actually transitioning from judo to BJJ, or at least training judo but competing in BJJ, if that makes sense. So yeah, the competitions like when you go to IBJJF are definitely big. Like so many different weight classes and age classes and belt classes in judo. You just have to. There's one division. Maybe there's masters, but it doesn't matter if you're blue belt, yellow belt, or whatever, or black belt. You just fight. There's no other way. I don't know. Like international tournaments, actually you have to have a black belt in order to actually compete. So it's interesting for me that IBJJF always has those belt classes too.
Do you think that helps for people that are starting, for example, if they get there and fight like a black belt, for example, in judo? Like, does it help
I don't
their
know. I actually
training
think
or
a lot.
no?
I don't know because I think like a lot of people actually cheat with their belts. Like they stay in whatever belt class forever with the knowledge of a whatever black belt.
Yeah.
That happens
And
in jiu-jitsu too.
Huh?
That happens in
no,
jiu-jitsu.
I was talking
Oh,
about
you're talking about
jujitsu.
jiu-jitsu. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when you go to like a real IBJJF like
Uh-huh.
tournament, right? Like you're
Yeah.
like, dude, I've seen you like a couple of years ago, and you were like a blue belt. Like for MMA fighters, for me, I think it's different because we always train no-gi and we really don't care so much about the belts.
Uh-huh.
Let's say you are from BJJ background, obviously it matters, but if you just want to train it for the purpose of MMA, it really doesn't matter so much.
Yeah.
Because also the BJJ for MMA is completely different. Like, once you receive a punch, like even ground and pound, it changes the game completely. You can pull the nicest guard or uh, whatever technique there is, but if you get punched, it changes the game, right? So
Yeah.
that's definitely a big difference. So this is what I mean. But yeah, I don't know. It might help, but they say like blue belts are the ones that are really motivated in the beginning, and they might just disappear.
That's true.
But then the purple and the brown belts usually they stay because they just have the goal to be a black belt.
Yeah. But when you talk about the judo of like the colored belts also just go into fight and there is just that one class where everybody fights together, do you think that's helpful for those people that are in the lower belts to be fighting the black belts in judo?
For me, yes, 100%. Because in order to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Yeah.
And it's not just about technique. It's also like always in here, right? Like if you go there and be like, oh my God, this is a black belt. No, this is not how you should think when you go to a competition. Like,
Yeah.
yes, what a nice challenge, my opinion. You can have whatever opinion about that, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's great. Actually, it's a great honor also to be like, let's say, a green belt, and you go there, like talking about judo now, right? And you have the chance to fight a real black belt in a competition. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great way to think of it, of like, that's a good opportunity for me to be fighting the best right now, and whatever happens happens. That's like, right, it's gonna go for any fight, like you're there to fight. But it's a really good way of thinking of, not thinking of like, this is a black belt, they're gonna beat me up.
It's the same, like, let's say you have a competition, 100 black belts, different weight classes. Let's say you have 3 weight classes, so you have like 30 in each division. It's like, you're not like, oh, another black belt, oh my god, oh my god. No, you're just like, okay, I have to be the best version of myself, and let's fucking go.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
It's true.
It's a good motto for a competition, like always thinking like that, right? Doesn't matter who you're fighting, just be your best, do your best.
I mean, we all know, we've all competed, and we all know it's not always easy, and it's also a daily performance kind of thing, right? Not every day is the same. We have shitty days. We have very fucking good days. We have some days in between where we just have to sort ourselves. But yeah, not every day is the same. So you just have to learn. That's why you also practice when you have a bad day, to just come over it and go and just think about the 1% you're better than yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just the
I
So
love
this is
that.
all in mindset, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's why Nelson calls me aggressive, Babby, because I just go. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if you're a coral. Let's go.
She's a little crazy on the mat, that one. So
Yeah.
she's like, I mean, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, but she's like always aggressive. So people treat her all the time like, don't even want to go
Where are you guys located, actually? Maybe we can get together.
in
Yeah.
San Diego, California. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well,
It's
what's
pretty.
the
It's
place?
really
Yeah,
pretty. And
I know.
we live in the best city, Encinitas of San Diego. If you ever come to San Diego, you need to go to Encinitas.
Yeah, it's a smaller town.
All right. Let me put a note.
Yeah.
Okay.
Write that down. I have a question that I should have asked first, because I think it's an awesome nickname that you have, the German Tank. How did they come up with that nickname for you? I have a image in my mind here of the why, but I wanted to make sure.
Oh, no, let me hear the why first. What do you think? And then I'll explain it.
I mean, I think you're like so strong that you just come like a tank, and you're just like crushing everybody in front of you. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, what it is, you're just like crushing over them. Is that why?
That's pretty damn close, to be honest. But yeah, I'm pretty tall. Like, I'm 5'10".
Oh.
And I also have this physique that I bring to the table, I guess. And then I don't know, they just started giving me that name. Like, who's that tank? Yeah, she's German. She's from Germany, like a Viking, whatever. I mean, Viking is not German, but it's obviously in Europe, very close, you know. But so we all, and like, oh, the German tank, nice. I don't know, and this just became a thing, and then
That's what you
and
have.
then and,
I
Julia,
like it.
and Julia the German tank, she's so fucking strong, man. Like, even the guys say that all the time, and I'm like, oh my god, you make me blush. Like, even now, oh my god.
I love it. It's a great nickname to have.
It
Don't
is.
even stand in front of me. That's the German tank, just coming to crush you.
I want that name.
The American tank.
Yeah, the American tank.
Oh, you want the German tank?
I don't know. I have German blood in me, so I like the German tank. I'm not from Germany, though, unfortunately.
You're gonna have
You're the shea tank.
The shea tank. I like that. Mm-hmm.
the shea butter tank.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that. I love it. And then I'm going to send it to you, Julia.
I'm gonna wear it.
That's awesome. Julia, you are the only female athlete, I think, in the world that has won championships in judo, mixed martial arts, and sumo wrestling. How does it feel like to be that person?
I mean, when you say it like this, it always honors me, you know? It's like, I'm very down to earth, and sometimes I'm like, really? No. But yeah, I guess I've done it. I'm sometimes like, was I crazy? Like, what did I do? I was all over the place with all my martial arts. But I guess I just, wanted to find out what's possible. And I'm obviously I've been competing since I was very young, so I guess it's part of my, it sounds stupid to say, but part of my life. Because I know not everything is a competition. Like I'm also good at when I'm not good at things, for example, bowling, I don't have a problem being like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna have some fun. But when it comes to things that actually matter to me, I guess I can be competitive
Just a little bit.
in a good way.
Where where does where does that come from? Was it just something that your parents birthed into you? Like where does it come from? Is it how you grew up? Was it sports you're into? Like what was your household like?
Very good question. I have no like immediate answer to that. I guess it's just a result of everything that that you kind of how do you say experience in life. But I knew from like when I was really young that I had fun competing, and I was like a touchy person, competitive kind of thing. When I see my youngest brother, he's turning 15 very soon. Man, he's just like me. I say he's my mini me, although he's like way as taller than me. Like he plays basketball, like really, really, really good. And his ultimate goal is obviously to play in the NBA. And I just see him and I'm like, fuck, he reminds me so much of myself. Like a little stubborn, wild. I don't want to, he's like me, like I don't want to party. I don't want to do something stupid. I just want to go to practice, eat healthy, get me my sleep, and I'm like, man, did I miss part of my childhood or something? But no, other things didn't really matter to me, but the sport always gave me something like made me feel home kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it also was good to like have clear rules to stick to and to see the progress,
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that you had already, or your parents helped of like having the rules and like
Well,
going to practice? Like,
I think obviously it's a result of everything. I'm not going to say my mother forced me. In fact, it was the opposite. When it was super hot in Germany and we would have days off school because it was so hot, she would be like, yeah, let's go to the pool and have some fun. And be like, okay, fine, we have an hour, but then you have to drop me off at judo. And she's like, well, really?
Big
Everybody else wants to
personality.
just stay at the pool. Yeah, and this is how like everything is like, even like toward my studies, my bachelor's, master's, working full-time, training, teaching, I was a coach also. I just did it. And because I love it so much and I'm so passionate about it, it didn't feel like a job or something. It was more like part of me, like facets of me. And it was a nice feeling to bring all this together and, teaching younger children, teaching juveniles, being like a mentor, being a friend, like a person they would look up to. Every and then I get messages from people that I trained back in the days. Do you still remember me, Coach Julie, Sensei Julia?
Aw.
And I'm like, just seeing the name. And eventually they had gotten married or something. I'm like, well, are you XYZ? And I'm like, oh my God, you've grown up so much. Would have probably not recognized you, but thank you so much. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. You really changed my life, the way of thinking and the training and blah, blah, blah. And now I do this and that or whatever. And I'm like, man, this is something cool. Like if you really are able to, help those little ones grow up in a good way, without
Yeah.
getting on the wrong track kind of thing, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does.
when you're talking about it, I was remembering a conversation I had with my husband that we were like, you started really young. You started like 7 years old in the sports and you never stopped. And we were talking about it. For a kid that starts so young, like how do the parents can help, right? Because you had that goal like pretty clear in your mind, and I don't think that's super common. Not all the kids have that goal so early. I take from myself, even nowadays, sometimes I'm like, am I really doing what I love? Like not about jujitsu, but about like work and everything else. Like, should I do something else? Is that really what I love? Like, should I find something different? Like, try something different, And I think it's a really hard thing as a parent, for example, to try to help as much as you can, but not burn your kid
Mm.
because you are like the person that is like, I'm not going to the pool, I'm gonna go to judo. But most of the kids would be like, I want to go to the pool every day and miss judo. Like, where do you find that balance that you can really
This is
support them?
actually, good question, because in my, I've seen so many parents, they try to fulfill their own dreams through the kids and really like kind of burnt them out. They were like super loud on the mat, choleric, yelling. Like, ah! If the kid would lose or something, they'll be like, I'm not gonna talk to you ever. You disappointed me or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I made all those fights with myself, It wasn't my mom that said, yeah, well, you suck. No. She's like, well, if you want to cry, cry, but not out here. Have the grace to just be thankful that you lost and learn something. And if you feel like crying, just go in the locker room so nobody sees you.
I love it.
And it's healthy, and it's a normal thing to feel this way, right? You're obviously disappointed. Nobody likes to lose, but it's also good to learn how it is to lose, because then you appreciate the wins more, I guess.
Yeah.
You know those people that are just used to winning, and once they're like hyped, and then they start losing, and they're lost. It's so hard for them to get back on track and be like, okay, well, it's just a fight. It doesn't define me. It doesn't define anything of my personality. It doesn't define the person who I am. No, it was just a loss, and I made this particular mistake in that situation, and actually, eventually, I'm aware of it, and just on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
My mom always said, like, this mistake is never going to happen to you again. And I said when I was younger, I'm like, yeah, but other mistakes. Yeah, and that's life, man. This is life. This is how it is. This is like the law of nature.
Yeah. That was something my husband told me once. I remember one of the competitions I did, and I lost in the first 30 seconds for an armbar. And I was like so upset. I was like crying and everything. And he was like, you're never going to lose for like an armbar like that ever again. Now you learned. And that's something that it's really hard to learn and understand at that moment, because you're upset. Like, you're pissed. I just lost, and like so much work to be here, and I just lost in 30 seconds. But it is what it is. If you don't have that experience, like you said, if you're just winning, maybe later
Right.
you're gonna lose. At some point you're gonna lose. Everybody will. There's no way you're gonna be just a winner forever.
Right.
So a lot of the times when you get to that point, that loss hits you so hard, you're not used to have that feeling, that might end your career like right there. Like, you're not gonna even want
I was gonna say, like, look at it this way. How good must that particular opponent be in that moment to armor a strong person like you in such a way, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's great. Like chess, like wow, that was something I've not expected to happen, but it happens. You're like, man, how did she do that in that person? Like in that moment, how did I do it? How did I miss this? Like, why did I do this mistake? What did I do wrong? Like, why did I move this way, not this way? Or how could I? And this is also interesting, right? Like, how could the person do it? Wow, interesting to beat me this way, because you are like the best anticipator of all times, kind of thing,
Yeah. It's a good lesson, a good way for you to evolve your game, and maybe
Right.
something that you want to be to. Like, I want to be like her. I want to be the one submitting people in 30 seconds instead of being the one getting submitted. So I think it helps to make you grow in the sport too, right?
I
Right.
have before we switch, I have a question. So going back to, because you have done it for so long and you were so driven, what would be your message to all those parents that have their kids in any sport? Like, my kid is really into dirt bikes, and that's what he does, and he races dirt bikes. But we have him in, jiu-jitsu, and then we have him in boxing. And so to all those parents, and seeing where you have, went, what would you tell them to do with their kids to like set them up for success of whatever sports they're in? Because I struggle with my child right now, just because he loses interest in things. Like, he's super excited, but then he'll lose interest, or he'll be like super excited that he won, but then the next time, for whatever reason, he goes out and he doesn't try his hardest, but then he'll have like a comeback the next day. It's like super weird. It's like all over the place. So do you have any advice to parents out there?
Well, it seems like that he's like super impulsive. Like, first of all, to learn how to control those impulses. Like, if I would, send a message out there to parents and the universe, I'd be like, obviously everybody has a gift. It's called life, And if you are able to find something for yourself that fulfills you, that's the best thing that could possibly happen. Like a good thing. I'm not talking about drugs or, stuff like that. I'm talking about the real thing that actually has a purpose. Maybe other people see you. You can be a role model, or is it just for yourself? Learn how to how to defend yourself. Or like, is it the competition, or is it just to go there and feel good about it? Like, find a purpose. And this is what I would say. And if you put your child, let's say, into soccer, and you feel like, okay, my child doesn't really enjoy it, then just have an open conversation. Like, find out what the child really wants, and if the child has several things that it likes, then narrow it down, I guess, because obviously it's expensive to try dirt bike, and then, okay, this is nothing, and you get the bike and all the gear, and then it's ice hockey, and then no, and then it's tennis. So this is how I would probably do it.
Okay, that's good advice. Thank you.
Write it down, Shay.
Yeah.
But Shay, what I mean, as a obviously, I'm not a parent. I have a dog. I have little brothers, but I'm not a mom. So what? How did you do it? What did you say?
Well, like for jiu-jitsu, he took a break for a year, and then dad started doing it again, and his best friend started doing it. So then he wants to do it. So
Oh.
he went into it again, and we're doing it. He wanted to do boxing, and so he just started that. So the phase hasn't ended yet. We'll see what happens with that. And then with the dirt bikes is more kind of ingrained in the culture of like our family because of his dad. And he's been racing since he was 5. He's been on a bike since he was 2. And so it's just like an ongoing conversation of like, do you still want to race? Let's have this, dynamic conversation. But there's always that kind of like, if you stop racing, this is something that we can't just bring back because it is like an expensive sport. It's a lot of money that goes out to do it. It's not just kind of like showing up to a tournament. It's like a lot. It's a lot. So it's that constant kind of like checking in with him. And do you still want to do this? Like what was going on, yesterday, that you didn't perform because you were literally the slowest I've ever seen you on the track, right? What was happening? And so I've had to have these like really in-depth conversations with a 9-year-old, which is sometimes hard,
Oh yeah, and maybe I was gonna say, sorry, maybe even ask for the motives. Like, why don't you enjoy BJJ anymore? Is it because it hurt you, like seriously hurt you, or is it that people submit you and you don't like to feel like that you're being submitted, like how do you say, a submissive kind of thing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like people are all different, right? And as for the racing, I mean, it's the greatest way probably to feel alive, like to be on a bike and get adrenaline like constantly, and like be in such a like hype rush moment, like. So I guess this is also like way more thrilling than just going to the BJJ practice, learn a new technique, right? When you constantly want to just push your adrenaline.
Yeah.
But I was
Right. I
gonna say
know.
something too when you were talking about it. It's like, why, like for example, why weren't you as good as you normally are like yesterday? Like what happened yesterday? But if we take this to any other sports, that happens to us too. There are some days that we're just not into it, and it's not because we don't like it. Maybe it's just a day that you were more tired, that you didn't like really sleep well. I don't know, maybe there is something else, and it's just like a day that it was not your best. So sometimes kids are gonna have that too. Like sometimes they're tired, sometimes they're not. It's just that specific day they don't want to do that. And I mean, I don't have a kid too. I've been around a lot of kids like from jiu-jitsu, but I feel that like sometimes when the parents want to push too hard on their kids on things that they want and that they like, that makes it worse. It's just more of like understanding.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes you're gonna have good days and bad days, like we do. Respect that about them, and like you said, keep checking in, making sure that he likes it. But understanding that some days are just gonna be bad days.
Yeah, but it's true. Like as adults, we have learned, like we have some strategies, right? If we feel this way, we know how to push ourselves, which children still kind of learn from behavior of the parents or from whatever their surroundings. So yeah, you're right. Like we all have those days, and also sometimes we have to seriously think: is it the voice of our body telling us that there's something cooking, like an injury or whatever, serious inflammation or something, or is it just
Mm-hmm.
that we are super tired and should listen and not go, or is this okay? I'm just like not in the mood, kind of thing. Because
Mm-hmm.
I learned throughout my career that I've been so bad at listening to my inner voice. I was just like, yeah, let's go, until the point where my body would literally break down. And this is how, how I learned the hard way to be better to myself and to learn to listen to that voice and not just drop the volume all the time.
I think that's huge. I kids or adults. I see my husband do it all the time. He's just like go 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 go, and I'm like, he's like, oh, I should have taken that call out, and I'm like, bro, you've literally like worked every single day, have had multiple back to back shifts, and every weekend you either have done racing or you're snowboarding or like whatever it is. Like you are on all the time. No, you shouldn't have taken that call out. You need a rest. But yeah, for adults too, I think that's huge to learn to listen to your body and what it needs.
Or you're gonna break at some point, and then that's
Yeah.
harder to fix, either
Yeah.
injury or mentally or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the professional pillow fighting. I think that was awesome. I was seeing your Instagram, like the videos of you guys fighting, and it made me like smile and laugh. Not laugh of the fight, of course, but it looks like fun. But at the same time, as I was thinking about it, I was like, wait a minute, I don't know if it's that fun because somebody's trying to hit you in the head with a pillow. Like, tell me about it. Like, when did you decide to start fighting in that league, and how different it is from MMA? Is it fun, or it's also like,
Okay, well, that was 4 questions. Let me start the first. It is definitely fun, but it's also competitive as hell.
yeah,
And how it started was last year. Since I had signed with Invicta, right? And I don't know, the fight schedule took forever to be published, and then they postponed for whatever reasons. And this is how, unfortunately, MMA business is, right? If it's not the UFC, it's always like a little hard with those schedules, whatever. So my fight that I had prepared for several months was postponed. I'm like, man, I moved to the States to compete, to do my stuff. Like a dog that's going back and forth. I'm like, I have to do something. Because also obviously this is what you do for a living, and it's not just fun. It's also how you pay your bills, whatever. I'm like, man, I expected that money to come in. I expected my body to just, be ready on point. So then this opportunity came up with PFC and Steve Williams, and so yeah, I went there, and I'm like, oh god. I mean, I was obviously training with the pillows at the gym a couple of times, and people were like, huh,
Yeah,
a
wait,
pillow. But wait, actually, it actually showed that a lot of people from ATT are actually fighting PFC because it's fun. It's a competition. Most likely you will not injure yourself, and you still, get out there to fight in the ring to actually have a competition. Anyway, the pillows are hard pillows, and especially the case is hard. There's rules where you have to hold all the three handles at the same time, and there's a certain way to swing it, right? And obviously, when you do a lot of boxing, you have great leg work, head work, whatever, and then you can block. Excuse me. And then you get extra points if you do the 360s or sweeps, or the part opponent is off balance or whatever. And it's actually a very interesting, like, set of rules. I like it. So yeah, I went to this tryout, and I was like, oh my god, this is tough. It's only like what the rounds are, probably 90 seconds to 2 minutes, I think, and it's in total it's 3 rounds with a minute of a break in between. But let me tell you, the impact when you, like, obviously when you punch hard, but with the pillow in your hand, and then you do this thing, like the impact, because the pillow is so long, it really affects your elbow and your shoulder.
yeah.
And after a while, like this and that, you feel your arms. It's like literally, yeah, it's pretty exhausting. And I see people, like strong ass males, swinging the pillow, and they're like, man, this is gasping me out. I thought I had a good endurance. So so yeah, then we had the what was it called, the Ocho Games in North Carolina, and I went there as the winner of this tryout, and I was fighting the current champion, and eventually I was able to manage to have the fastest TKO in PFC history.
Oh wow.
The
And yeah,
German
and then
tank strikes again.
and just because the MMA thing, right? And this is how I see it. Some things, no, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I was so upset about my fight, But then I got the other fight opportunity, which was also fun and helped, like media coverage was amazing. We were all over Nickelodeon, ESPN Plus, and a few other channels, Fox, And obviously, as an MMA fighter, you have to, think smart and be cross-medial, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
this is not just that, and this is not just that. You just have to, put your name out there. And this is what happened. So now I'm the pillow fight world champion, and then eventually in November I I was able to defeat that title, and now we on to the next. It's not that it's my priority, but whenever there is a chance to compete, obviously I love it, because we just recently had shootings with the kids channel Nickelodeon. The kids went crazy on it, and they even pillow fight kids competitions now, and it's a big thing.
I think it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's like you said, it's less impact on your head, so it doesn't injure you as much as like boxing and everything else. And
Yes.
it's fun, but at the same time, there is a technique. There is something like it's not just like pillow fighting like we do like at your house with your siblings.
Where the feathers fly around the
Yeah,
hall.
when everything is flying around.
I thought you were saying Kaio. I was like, you do pillow fights with Kaio?
No,
Her
Kyle's
husband.
my husband. And I'm like, no, I'm not fighting with him. He's gonna win probably, whatever we fight too. But but I
Now
think
it's also an endurance thing. It's also an endurance thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you beat him.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I'll start training when he's not home, like with my children. I might win against him in a pillow fight. Maybe not in jiu-jitsu, but pillow
Oh,
fight.
that's
That's gonna
awesome.
be my thing. Julie, what are your goals for this year? Like, do you have any fights that you were signed for? Like, what is your focus right now?
I definitely wanna be able to be signed to the UFC very soon, sooner than later. Um, I'm not sure if it's gonna happen by the end of this year, probably not, but hopefully by the beginning of next year. Um, and yeah, to just be not injured at all. Just have like a great peak and show the world what I'm capable of. Have a good mindset. Don't worry too much. And obviously, be a role model. And it's just sometimes you're able to say all those things out there, right? And people listen to you. And then when it, like for example, my last competition, I had a great camp. I felt amazing. I walked in, I was in that cage, and then the announcer's like, Julia, this and that and that and that, and then ready to fight. And in that moment, I don't know, I think I've never experienced such a strong feeling of a blackout, like a system shock kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I know all of it. I know about me. I know about competition. I know what I'm doing here. I've been waiting for this moment so long. And just in that moment, like literal people who saw the fight, they're like, was she injured? What was wrong? Was she like on something? Like, I just froze. I couldn't do nothing. Usually after a while you get into that fight, right? But I
Yeah.
was not myself. So what I was going to say, like, I just hope after reflecting on all of it and, being back in the cage and training and stuff, the same way you have your physical workout, you need to train your mindset, which is super
Mhm.
important. And I think I was just so afraid to disappoint myself and to lose that this just took over. And this is probably pretty honest what I'm saying right now, and I'm sure not many people would say that. But I just felt like I needed to say it because this is what strongly affected me. And I'm not. My opponent was good. She's strong. She belongs there. She's there for a reason. I'm not saying that she's. But at least I would have been able to show a fight. But I was not because I wasn't there. I was just. And I think it was important that it happened. It must have, it was important for me that it happened. So I get my shit together, get fucking over it, and on to the next one. And for people who said something, what, who are those people? I don't fucking care. It's only for me. I do this for nobody else but me. You know what I mean? It's my own war. It's my own thing. It's my own passion. So who are those people, those haters who say shit?
Yeah. We don't listen
That's-
to haters, right?
No. That's crazy. You've had so much competition to still have, because I have like crazy social anxiety, and I have those moments all the time. But for somebody that is so outgoing and have competed your whole life, to still have those moments,
It's crazy because I mean I've competed all over the world. I've been on the mats of the world in several martial arts, and and you're like, yeah, okay, I know, fine. Like this is a feeling that is normal, that comes up, the adrenaline, it kicks in, it makes your knees a little soft or whatever. But it's also important that it happens because it gives you super strength. If it's not to a point where it's just too much, and
like
So,
crazy
yeah,
adrenaline dump. Yeah,
it was just maybe because I hadn't going back to the last fight, it's been a while. So maybe it was, my friends say it was ring rust.
What was it? Say it again?
Ring rust, when something gets rusty, when it's too
Yes,
moist.
yes.
And you just have to like scratch it off, polish, and then it's gonna almost look like new.
You're talking about the preparation, the mental preparation that you have to go through and everything. How do you prepare yourself for your fights? Sometimes even you, like, especially for MMA, it takes some time, right? Like from you like just training without any fight signed, and then you sign for a fight, and then you have a few weeks that you just like finish kind of getting ready for that. Like,
Right.
how do you keep yourself always prepared, not just your body but also mentally? Like, what does that look like for you?
I feel like obviously you still have always, training days ahead of you. So once you sign up for a fight, you should go to the gym and be like, yeah, baby, let's go. I mean, it's not always happening because your body hurts, you're aching, you have some inflammation, some injuries or whatever, right? But how it is, like, you should, like, I feel like in that moment when you sign for something, you're like, yeah, let's go. And this is how it should be. This is what you should think of all the time. You're not here because somebody is forcing you to do it. You're here because this is your dream. This is all you dreamed of. This is all you wanted. So now just make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And never forget about it, I guess. And then, just have fun at training. Not too much fun, obviously, but also, I'm saying that because I'm so sorry. Sometimes my translation kind of sucks.
No.
What I mean is, like, obviously a good practice is when you have a lot of input and something good happens, but you also have a certain amount of fun when you're actually on the mats, with a smile, like not just completely like technique, like yeah, nice, that's it, like a little feeling of success and that it's actually a passion or fun or whatever. Rocky, come here.
Oh.
Cute.
So this is what I mean. And then obviously you have to make sure that you that you eat clean, that you sleep well, that you don't get sick, like all that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. We're talking in the beginning. You're also a journalist. You have your own podcast that you started in 2020, Women Hit Harder. You got like some different guests for your podcast. Talk a little bit about it, like how did it came, that idea of starting the podcast. I know it's not your main focus. Your main focus is like fighting and the MMA. But how fun is that for you too?
So what it was, I realized, going through Instagram and all the charts and the statistics, whatever, that my followers were mainly men. And I'm like, why? I'm not doing something completely like out of this planet kind of thing. Like, why are not more women into the content I am posting, or in like, some hints that I'm giving, or my life or whatever. And then I was like, okay, maybe this is still the problem that we have here with a male dominated field, either if it's motorbiking or fighting. because women sometimes feel a little, sorry, now I need your help for the right word. They feel a little like they're the weaker sex or something, like this is a man thing, although they fucking love it. So this is like, oh, this is a man dominated field kind of thing. And I was like initially saying, okay, no, look, like you can do whatever the fuck you want and that makes you happy without even looking at the sex of somebody or whatever. Like you just have this one life. Enjoy it. Do it now. Not tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow, but now. If this makes you happy now, do it. And then I had like so many great guests, like astronauts, politicians, fighters, Olympians, champions, everything. And also like there are also some good men out there who have a very, very good way of seeing women in this world, not like chauvinistic, but like, oh yeah, we need the women and they're amazing and what they do, and then I had those kind of men in my show. And it turns out that a lot of women like that stuff, like loved what we talked about, loved how we, our point of view on several things. And so, yeah, a lot of women would sign up to this Women Hit Harder thing and then buy the merch and, watch it and follow me and stuff. I was like, yeah, dang, this is so good. Like, I don't want to just have like men on my profile that be like, oh my God, this girl is so strong. No, I want to show that if you want to have a strong body, you can do it. No, just because a man says, oh, I don't like women that have bicep, doesn't mean that you have to listen to that shit. Like, if you love yourself having a bicep, just go for it. And don't feel bad about yourself if you're like jacked. If you like this, if this is the physique that you always dreamed of, just go get it. And don't let anybody tell you that it might look too masculine or too this or too that. No, people will always judge you no matter what. And so yeah, this was the Women Hit Harder idea.
I love it.
I love that. I love like how that initially like came about of you looking at the stats of your profile and then said I wanted to go and give a platform to women to get more women involved. That's amazing. That's so cool.
I love it.
Yeah, I think this has been, I just feel so bad that I haven't been able to publish really, but obviously I'll continue. But every time I get messages about like, hey, when is the next episode coming out? It's been so long, we're missing it, or hope you're well, like I hope there's nothing serious going on with you. Or that people actually show the support and the love, or the that they just want to have a new episode. It's just so probably the same for you guys when you publish something and people actually give you a good, meaningful, deep respond to that and be like, man, thank you.
Yeah. It makes it worth it. Like all your time.
It makes it so worth it. You're like, okay, I'm not paid for it, but this is what you are there for. You kind of create something which is amazing that nobody can take away from you, because you're actually, helping, being a mentor, being a friend. I don't know, like so many things, and it's just amazing.
That's awesome. Julie, we like to always finish our episodes asking our guests what does BJJHOOD means to them. And BJJHOOD has a sense of like sisterhood, brotherhood. I know you're into all the other martial arts, so you can talk about like the whole thing, like the whole picture for you with all the martial arts. What does that mean for you?
The BJJHOOD, MMA hood, judo hood, whatever, what it means for me is that, when you are able to connect with people in this world, it doesn't matter where you go, where you travel to, or where you're competing. Like if you have this BJJ, MMA, judo hood, or whatever, you will always have people that are very much like you, and you will most likely have great people where you can crush on the couch or whatever, where you support each other, where there's just a lot of like love, like you just have so much respect for each other because you know what it means to actually do that stuff, to travel, to be jet lagged, to have a competition, and you're just super supportive and you just have a lot of respect for each other. So this is what it means to me.
That's awesome. Julie, thank you so much for taking your time and talking to us today. It was super, super fun. We laughed so much with you. It was amazing to meet you and talk to you today. I hope we can meet each other sometime soon. Either we go into Florida or maybe you're coming to San Diego area. Then we can
That'd be nice. I might have a thing in April in California where my friend is making a new world record. and I'm gonna be his
hype woman,
how do you say that? Like
a hype woman,
Pate.
like
Yeah, probably like something like that. Yeah,
Like just
yeah.
hyping him, like cheering for him, kind of thing.
Yeah, and also when he makes the record, I'll be the one that and in the Guinness World Record it says, and Julia Dorny stated that. So I'm like the one that takes care of that. So I'm looking forward to that. So if that really happens, because it has a lot of do with bureaucracy and whatever, I'll let you guys know for sure.
Let us know.
Yeah,
That
that'd
would
be
awesome.
cool.
Thank you so much. And for you that are watching this episode, make sure you share with your friends so they can hear about Julie's story and learn a little bit more about her story. Follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you also follow her and her podcast so you don't miss her episodes whenever she comes back to that. And her next fights. Hopefully soon we'll be seeing her in UFC and cheering her right there too. I will see you guys back next Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Would you like to share your story? Email us at bjjhoodpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at BJJHOOD Podcast.